The world we live in is a complex, multifaceted system that is constantly undergoing changes under the influence of internal and external factors. The focus today is on Ukraine, a country that has been fighting for its independence, for the right to freedom, and for the right to its own future for many years. This conflict, which began in 2014, has become one of the most acute and complex in modern history, having an impact on the entire geopolitical situation in the world. Today, we will tell you about an event that shocked not only the region, but also the entire world community, about a large-scale, complex, and very risky operation of the Ukrainian Special Services, which became a vivid example of their professionalism, strategic thinking, and technological equipment. This is a story about courage, about accurate calculations, about modern technologies, and how all this helps to protect our native land. The massive attack on Russian bombers is not just a military action. It is a symbol of the struggle for freedom, a demonstration of the capabilities of the Ukrainian forces, and a challenge that the Russian army could not ignore. Today, we will talk in detail about how everything happened, what forces were involved, and what this means for the future of the region and the entire global politics. This is a story about how modern technology, intelligence, tactics, and strategy combine into a single defense mechanism. This is an example of how Ukraine uses all available resources to counter a powerful military machine, and shows the world that even with limited resources, it is possible to achieve strategic goals. The conflict between Ukraine and Russia is not just a modern war. This is the result of many years of historical, political, and economic processes that shape the relations between the two countries. The beginning of this conflict can be traced back to 2014, when Russia annexed Crimea, which became one of the most serious international crises of the 21st century. Over the years, the situation has only escalated. An armed struggle has begun in Donbass, which continues to this day. In this confrontation, both sides have accumulated vast experience in information warfare, intelligence warfare, and the use of modern technologies. Despite all the difficulties, Ukraine has been able to create powerful defense structures that use modern means, from cyber weapons to targeted strikes against strategic targets. The Russian army, with its enormous military might, is facing new challenges. In an environment where traditional methods of warfare do not always produce the desired result, the Russian military has begun to use more sophisticated tactics such as guerrilla warfare, cyber attacks, information warfare, and special operations. In this context, the fight against Russian aviation occupies a special place, because bombers are not just a technique, but a strategic tool capable of causing significant damage and changing the course of hostilities. Ukraine, in turn, is actively developing its capabilities in the field of intelligence, cybersecurity, and targeted strikes. In recent years, the Ukrainian forces have been using modern technology to compensate for the gap in numbers and weapons. In this context, the destruction or damage of Russian bombers is one of the priorities that can significantly change the balance of power in the region. History shows that in modern conflicts, victory often depends not only on the number and power of equipment, but also on the ability to use information, technology, and tactics. Ukraine, realizing this, relies on innovation, intelligence, and precision strikes to offset the superiority of the enemy. Ukraine is actively strengthening its ties with international partners, NATO countries, the European Union, the United States, and other allies. These connections allow us to obtain modern weapons, intelligence data, as well as exchange experience and technologies. International pressure on Russia also plays an important role, which creates additional conditions for successful operations. International organizations and major states provide Ukraine not only with financial support, but also with strategic advice, intelligence, and technology. This allows the Ukrainian forces to conduct more accurate and effective operations, as well as increase their defense capabilities. Historical parallels show that international support plays a crucial role in such conflicts. During the Second World War, the Allies joined forces to win, and today, Western countries are helping Ukraine use modern technologies and strategies to protect its independence. Before the start of the operation, Ukrainian intelligence officers, analysts, and strategists worked for months, collecting and analyzing information. The most advanced intelligence tools were used: high-resolution satellite imagery, cyber intelligence, wiretapping of communication channels, intelligence sources, and even the use of artificial intelligence to analyze data. Tracking and electronic suppression systems were of particular importance. Drones, radar stations, electronic warfare systems, all this made it possible to create the most accurate picture of what was happening. Every detail, from the routes of movement of Russian aircraft to the technical features of their weapons, has been thoroughly studied. The command developed a strategy that included not only pinpoint strikes, but also minimizing the risks to its fighters. Special units were involved, trained to conduct high-precision operations in high-risk conditions. An important part of the training was scenario modeling, practicing tactical maneuvers, and creating backup plans in case of unforeseen situations. All these measures made it possible to create a system that could ensure the success of the operation even in conditions of high complexity and risk. Modern automation tools, combat control systems, and analytical platforms were used to combine intelligence into a single picture. Special attention was paid to the training of personnel. Large-scale exercises, scenario modeling, and team decision development were conducted. Simulators, virtual simulators, and real field exercises were used. All this made it possible to increase the level of combat readiness and reduce the likelihood of mistakes. Ukraine actively cooperates with international partners, introducing new developments and technologies. Within the framework of this cooperation, joint exercises, the exchange of intelligence data and technologies, as well as training of specialists are carried out. The appointed hour has arrived. Ukrainian forces have launched an operation. For several hours, a complex, multi-layered attack took place, including the use of unmanned aerial vehicles, reconnaissance ships, cyber units, and special forces. The main goal is to destroy Russian bombers on airfields or in the air. Thanks to accurate intelligence and well-coordinated work of the command, the operation was successful. Attacks were carried out on key targets, airfields, equipment, control and communication systems. The Russian forces were unprepared for such an attack. Many planes were damaged or destroyed. This was a powerful blow to their strategic capabilities, caused panic among the command, and questioned the effectiveness of their defense systems. Special attention was paid to minimizing losses among the Ukrainian fighters. Modern guidance systems, automatic protection systems, tactical maneuvers, and stealth were used. The entire plan was designed to maximize the benefits of modern technology and analytics. Modern guidance systems, automatic protection systems, as well as tactical maneuvers were used to ensure maximum efficiency. An important element was the use of unmanned aerial vehicles for reconnaissance and strikes. Electronic suppression systems were actively used as part of the operation to disorient the enemy and block its communication and control systems. Cyber intelligence and cyber attacks on the enemy's infrastructure were also conducted. The international community reacted to this operation in different ways. Many countries expressed support for Ukraine and stressed the importance of protecting its sovereignty and territorial integrity. Some called for dialogue and the search for peaceful solutions, while others supported Ukraine in its struggle. The Russian authorities announced the losses and retaliated. A new wave of tension has begun in the region, and the escalation of the conflict has become obvious. The Russian authorities accuse Ukraine of provocations and declare the need to strengthen defense. Ukraine, in turn, demonstrates that modern technologies and training make it possible to conduct effective combat operations even against powerful opponents. This is a signal to the whole world. The struggle for freedom and independence continues, and Ukraine is ready for new challenges. Many countries and international organizations have issued statements of support for Ukraine, called for de-escalation of the conflict and support for sovereignty. At the same time, some countries called for dialogue and the search for peaceful solutions. Inside Ukraine, the operation has strengthened confidence in the armed forces and special services and increased the level of national cohesion. Discussions have intensified within the country about the need for further reforms and modernization of the defense complex. Experts in the field of defense and security emphasize that such operations represent a new level of warfare. The use of modern technology, intelligence, and precision strikes are new standards that are changing the rules of the game. Ukraine shows that even with limited resources and in a difficult geopolitical situation, it is possible to achieve strategic goals. This is an example for other countries of how to use innovative approaches and modern technologies to protect their territory. Experts note that the development of unmanned systems, cyber weapons, artificial intelligence systems, and automated platforms is the future of modern conflicts. Ukraine is actively implementing these technologies, which gives it a strategic advantage. Analysts stress that the success of the operation shows the importance of integrating intelligence, technology, and tactics. In the future, such operations will become the standard of warfare, and countries must prepare for new challenges. Modern warfare is a war of technology. The use of unmanned aerial vehicles, electronic suppression systems, cyber weapons, and precision guidance systems have all become an integral part of the fighting. Ukraine is actively implementing new developments, cooperating with international companies and research centers, and using artificial intelligence to analyze intelligence and plan operations. This allows you to achieve high accuracy and minimize losses. The introduction of automatic control systems, analytical platforms, and artificial intelligence systems allows the Ukrainian forces to quickly respond to changes in the situation and make strategic decisions. Ukraine is actively developing cybersecurity systems to protect its information resources and infrastructure from external attacks. This is an important element of modern defense. What awaits Ukraine and the region in the coming months? What new challenges and opportunities will open up for the Ukrainian forces? Analysts agree that such operations will become part of a permanent defense strategy. Ukraine will continue to develop its capabilities, strengthen allied ties, introduce new technologies, and improve tactics. At the same time, Russia, aware of its vulnerabilities, will look for new ways to counteract them, from cyber attacks to new forms of warfare. Ukraine plans to modernize its armed forces, introduce new systems, expand cooperation with international partners, and develop its own technologies. Analysts predict that such operations and technological advances could change the balance of power in the region, strengthen Ukraine's position, and complicate Russia's plans. Ukraine is showing the whole world that even with limited resources and in a difficult geopolitical situation, significant success can be achieved. Every operation is a step towards victory, freedom, and independence. Peace and stability depend on the decisions of each of us. Follow the news, be informed, and remember, the struggle for the future continues. Time demands wisdom, determination, and unity from us.